there is a YouTuber by the name of Omnipolitics16 that has been going around trying to say that pedophilia is just fine as long as you have a relationship with the parent and you get their permission or whatever. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly normal. Nothing, no harm will come out of it, and all of that shit. So yeah, this guy has the specific attraction to, I believe he said 3 to 12, 14, some sick shit like that. And he actually had the question during a live stream with Andy Warski of uh, does it cause damage right away? And yes, yes it does, including the chance of death. Is that bad enough for you to not want to diddle kids? Yeah, unless you've actually got the size of a penis of like two thimbles stacked on top of each other, you're gonna rupture organs. And then as they get older, you've got the risk of pregnancy, killing the child, and things of that nature. So let's look at a couple articles. A 13-year-old Yemeni girl died of internal injuries 4 days after a family arranged marriage to a man almost. A child, the girl died last Friday in a hospital in Yemen's Yaja province, the Forum for Human Rights said, quoting a medical report. She was married the previous Monday in a traditional arrangement known as a swap marriage, in which the brother of the bride also married the sister of the groom, it said. Sigrid Kaag, regional director for UNICEF, said in a statement that the United Nations Child Agency was dismayed by the death of yet another child bride in Yemen. Alham is a martyr of abuse of children's lives in Yemen, and a clear example of what is justified by the lack of limits on the age of marriage. A medical report from the Al Thawra hospital said she suffered a tear to her genitals and severe bleeding. The Yemeni rights group said the girl was married off in an agreement between two men to marry each other's sisters to avoid having to pay expensive bride prices. In September, a 12-year-old Yemeni child bride died after struggling for 3 days in labor to give birth, a local human rights organization said. Yemen once set 15 as the minimum age for marriage, but Parliament annulled that law in the 90s, saying parents should decide when a daughter marries. 10-month-old girl dies after mother's boyfriend rapes her, authorities say. A 10-month-old girl died this week in West Virginia after her mother's boyfriend raped her, authorities said. The baby was found unresponsive on Monday in the basement of the family's apartment complex with 32-year-old Benjamin Taylor, the child's mother's live-in boyfriend, Jackson County authorities said. The child was taken to the hospital where she was treated for injuries. On Wednesday, family members told West Virginia Metro News that the baby girl was clinically brain dead and there was very little chance she would wake up. She died later that day. Now that we've looked at the effects of what the initial sexual encounter would actually be, let's look at the long term effects. In the short term, up to 2 years, victims may exhibit regressive behaviors. For example, thumb sucking and bedwetting in younger children, sleep disturbances, eating problems, behavior and/or performance problems at school, and unwillingness to participate in school or social activities. Longer term effects may be wide ranging to include anxiety related self destructive behaviors such as alcoholism or drug abuse, anxiety attacks, and insomnia. Victims may show fear and anxiety in response to people who share characteristics of the abuser, for example, the same sex as the abuser or similar physical characteristics. Victims may experience difficulties in adult relationships and adult sexual functioning. Survivors may feel anger at the abuser, at adults who failed to protect them, and at themselves for not having been able to stop the abuse. Victims may experience traumatic sexualization, or the shaping of their sexuality in developmentally inappropriate and interpersonally dysfunctional ways. Victims may feel betrayed and an inability to trust adults because someone they depended on has caused them great harm or failed to protect them. Victims may feel powerless because the abuse has repeatedly violated their body's space and acted against their will through coercion and manipulation. So, from that example, it doesn't always have to be pin them down type of sexual abuse. A child who is the victim of prolonged sexual abuse usually develops low self esteem, a feeling of worthlessness, and an abnormal or distorted view of sex. The child may become withdrawn and mistrustful of adults and can become suicidal. These are all the things that you could do to a child's fucking mind of your selfish indulgence of a child, of someone that cannot actually defend themselves. This is disgusting. You should feel disgusting, and you need to find help. It kind of baffles me that in the age of information, that you can go out and look for all of these things on your own. The knowledge is right the fuck there. It is directly in front of you as you're watching this. It is directly on your smartphone. You carry the world's knowledge in your fucking pocket at all times as long as you have a smartphone. And even if you don't, that's no excuse. You could go to the local fucking library and look shit up on the internet, or even crack open those fucking paper things, whatever the fuck they're called, the book things of last century. All you had to do was type into Google, something like effects of sex on children, just anything, anything, and the whole government conspiracy. They're always watching what I type and things like that. Please, with the amount of weapon parts I've looked up, you're fine. Especially considering you're looking things up to try to see if what you're doing really is immoral. If you really don't want to hurt anybody, you could have done the fucking research. But instead, you made everything fucking public. Oh, and by the way, hate to tell you, but at this given point in time, I have downloaded every single one of the videos that you have done about pedophilia and saying that you are for pedophilia. So as soon as you think that you've deleted a certain thing, it's not gone. You're not hiding from this. Not until you get help. And that's really what it comes down to. You really do need to get some fucking help. I'd also like to state, and I'm not going to put it up here. I'm not going to talk about Andy Worski's situation and his experience and stuff like that. I don't feel right talking about it, to be honest. I just don't feel right. I will link everything in the description, but you were highly disrespectful to that man, especially. I mean, he essentially bared his soul on the internet to prove to you that what you're advocating is damaging. And you and your friend are just sitting there dicking around with what was that? A fucking soda can or some shit? You were completely disrespectful to him. I really do think that you owe him specifically a public apology. You were not taking that entire thing seriously. That was not nerves. If I ended up on a stream right the fuck now with somebody that I completely disagreed with, I would have showed up with something in order to look up what I'm talking about, or had things printed out in front of me with links ready. This shit should have been taught to you. This type of organization should have been taught to you in fucking school. It's not that fucking hard. You have zero fucking excuse for the amount of disrespect that you showed those people. There was zero reason for you to have a lack of knowledge on the matter. I think you, as an individual, are a piece of fucking shit. Your parents are fucking failures. And I really fucking mean that. So fuck you.